think they'll get better. You think if you just have one more conversation or adjust your expectations a little or give it another month that they'll turn a corner. But you've been thinking that for 6 months now. They haven't turned a corner. And while you've been waiting, your best people have been quietly cleaning up the mess. Your clients have been getting less than they deserve, and your business has been paying for it in ways you honestly haven't even fully added up yet. Today, we're talking about the cost of keeping a bad employee for too long, because it is so much higher than the discomfort of letting them go. I'm Brandy Gar. I teach wedding pros how to grow and scale a profitable business, and this episode is for every wedding business owner that's listening right now thinking, I know exactly who on my team this is. I already know. I can name them by name. You don't need me to convince you that they're not the right fit. You felt it. Your gut has been telling you for months. The question isn't whether they need to go. The question is why you haven't done it yet and what it's costing you every single day that you don't. And that's what we're gonna get into today. Let me start with the real cost, because I think that's what most business owners only see part of. The part they see is the stress, the constant low-grade dread of knowing there's a problem that you haven't dealt with, the mental energy that it takes to manage someone who isn't performing, the conversations that you replay in your head, the mistakes that you're bracing for already. That part is real, but it's actually the smallest cost. Here's the bigger one. Your A players are carrying these C and D players. When someone on your team is underperforming, the work isn't disappearing, it's landing on someone else's plate. And it almost always is landing on your best people. The ones who actually care, the ones who show up and do what needs to be done because they're not gonna let a client suffer or a project fall apart. Those people are watching you keep this person. They're watching you allow the standard to be lower than what they hold themselves to every single day. And they're doing extra work because of it, without extra pay, without extra recognition, just absorbing the fallout. And one day, one of your A players, they're gonna leave. And they're not gonna leave out loud. They're not gonna make a dramatic scene about it. They're gonna get an offer from somewhere else, or they're gonna decide to go out on their own. And when you ask them why, they might give you a professional answer, but the real answer is gonna be that they were tired of carrying someone who should have already been gone from your company a long time ago. That is the cost that can genuinely break your business. Losing an A player because you couldn't deal with a C player. The second hidden cost is your clients. If someone on your team is client facing and they're underperforming, your clients are being underserved. Full stop. You built your reputation on the experience you deliver, your reviews, your referrals, your ability to charge what you charge. All of it rests on every single touch point a client has with your business. You're only as good as the last event that you did. Every single one, not just the ones that you personally handle. When you keep someone who isn't delivering that standard, you're eroding the very thing that you built your business on. And then, CEO, there's the financial cost. Covering for their mistakes costs money, and I know that you're hearing this and you're thinking, yes, I've done this. Fixing what they got wrong costs time that should have been spent somewhere else, but it also costs you client relationships. And sometimes it costs you a referral you'll never know that you didn't get because the experience fell short. And none of this shows up on your P&L, but it's absolutely costing you. So why do we keep bad employees? I wanna talk about this honestly, because I think when you hear these things said out loud, you're gonna start to see them differently. So let's talk about it. Here's one that I see a lot. I just need to get through busy season, right? Have you ever said this one to yourself? This one is the most common one that I see with our students, and I understand it because the timing feels terrible. You're slammed. You can't imagine onboarding someone new right now on top of everything else you have going on. So you wait, and then busy season ends and there's a lull, and you think, well, maybe now isn't the right time either. And then it's busy season again. There's never a perfect time to part ways with an employee. I need you to hear that. There is never a window that suddenly opens up and says, okay, now is the perfect time to do it. This is the moment. You have to make the moment. Another one that I hear is, I feel bad. They have a mortgage, they have a family. And listen, this one comes from a good place. It really does. You're a human being and you care about people, and that's not a flaw. But I want to reframe this for you. Keeping someone in a role where they're failing, where they're not meeting the standard, where their coworkers are frustrated with them and their clients are underserved and also probably frustrated, that's not compassion. That's avoidance dressed up as compassion. They're not thriving in this role. They know it too, even if they won't say it, and they deserve a chance to find somewhere where they can actually succeed. You keeping them in a role that isn't working isn't doing them any favors. It's just making you feel better about not having to be the one to have the hard conversation. Okay, number 3, I don't have time to deal with it right now. Well, let me explain this to you right now. You don't have time not to. Everything I just described above is happening every single day while you wait to make a decision. Your clients are frustrated and they're just not telling you. Your other team members are frustrated and they're just not telling you. This employee is costing you actual dollars that you're having to pay to have redone. And here's what I've seen happen over and over again. And I've lived this personally, so I'm not speaking theoretically. I actually had a salesperson on my team at Blush who I knew needed to go. I knew it, but it felt easier just to keep going, to keep managing around her, to keep telling myself I'd deal with it when I had a minute to actually think through a plan. But I never found that minute, and she ended up quitting on short notice, and she left us scrambling right in the middle of busy season trying to figure out how to cover everything that she had been handling without any runway to prepare. Here's what happens when you let it go too long. They get comfortable underperforming. Think about it for a second. If you've allowed a lower standard for 6 months, a year, or longer, that becomes their normal. They're not lying awake at night thinking about their performance gaps. They've adjusted to the expectations that you've actually been holding them to, which have dropped lower and lower because it was easier than the alternative. And then one day the problems get big enough and you've finally had enough, or something happens with a client and you have to address it directly, and you start holding them to the standard that should have been there all along. And they have the nerve to get angry because from where they're standing, the rules just changed. They were doing fine as far as they could tell. You never made it clear enough, often enough, that they were on borrowed time. And now suddenly there's accountability and it feels to them like it's coming out of nowhere. So they quit. And not on good terms. They're angry and they quit at the worst possible time, leaving you hanging and scrambling to get things done. I have watched this happen to 2 of my students just in the last month. One of them had a planner on her team and the other had a production lead. Both were client-facing roles, both people they'd been managing around for way too long. Both of them quit right in the middle of busy season. Not a slow period, not after a wedding weekend, right in the middle of it, with clients actively being served and events on the books. And now these owners and their teams are scrambling. They're covering clients they weren't prepared to cover. They're making promises they're honestly not sure that they can keep. They're exhausted, they're stressed, they're running on nothing because they were blindsided. And this is what waiting is gonna actually cost you. Not the discomfort of a hard conversation. And listen, CEO, I have had my fair share of difficult conversations. I get it. These are tough things to say out loud, but you are running a business, not a hobby. You are responsible for every single person on your team's mortgage payment, their light bill, them being able to send their kids to daycare, them being able to go on vacation. You are responsible for everyone on your team. You're also responsible for the money that you've taken from your clients to deliver a service that your company is known for. And when you have someone sticking around that's draining all of that, you aren't being responsible for those things. So let's talk about what to do instead. If you're listening to this and you have someone on your team right now that you know needs to go, here's what I want you to start doing immediately. Before you do anything else, before you have a single conversation with them, start building your exit plan. Notice I didn't say their exit plan, I mean yours. What I mean by that is right now, today, you need to start getting yourself closer to their work. What clients are they handling? What relationships exist that you don't have full visibility into? What's on their to-do list? What projects do they have in progress? What did they promise someone last week that you don't know about yet? Start learning everything that lives in their world quietly, without tipping your hand. Because when the break happens, and it will happen one way or another, you need to know what you're stepping into. You need to know what has to be covered, by who, and for how long. Start thinking about who on your current team could absorb the pieces of the role temporarily. Not permanently, not forever, just long enough to give you breathing room to hire properly. And then start your hiring process before they're gone. Write the job description. Get clear on what the role actually needs to be now, because it might have evolved from when you hired them. Start building your pipeline of candidates. Go back and look at past applications that you've gotten, maybe even for different roles in your company. And I want you to do all of this while they're still there. Because when you're ready to have the conversation and you're the one who chooses when that is, then you're not scrambling. You have a plan. You know what needs to be covered. You know who's covering it. You know you have candidates in process. You control the timing. You control the transition. You protect your clients and you protect your team, because that is your responsibility. And that's the difference between an exit that you manage and an exit that manages you. The goal is that when you have this final conversation, nothing's gonna catch you off guard. You're not desperate. You're not begging them to stay through one more event. You're ready for the clean break. And that's what doing it on your terms looks like. I want to close with this because I think it's the thing that actually gives people permission to act. Keeping this person is not the kind thing to do. It's not kind for your clients, it's not kind for your A players, and it's not kind for your business. And honestly, it's not even kind for the person that you're keeping. Nobody wins in this situation. Your best people are burning out covering for someone who shouldn't be there. Your clients are getting less than what they paid for. You're spending mental and emotional energy every single week managing a problem that you've already decided needs to end. And the person in the role, they're stuck in a job that they're not succeeding in, probably sensing that something is off, but without clear enough feedback to either improve or move on. And that's not a good place to be either. The kindest version of leadership is clarity. Clear expectations, clear feedback, and when the fit isn't right, a clear and timely exit that gives everyone a chance to find a better situation. You already know what you need to do, but the question is whether you're gonna do it on your terms or wait until they do it on theirs. If you're working through a team situation right now, whether it's someone who needs to go, a structure that isn't working, or just the feeling that your team is draining you more than it's freeing you, that's exactly what we look at in a gap assessment. It's a real conversation with my team about what's happening in your business, where the gaps are, and what to do about them. So I want to invite you to head over to weddingproceo.com/application to book a time that works for you. CEO, if you got any value from this episode, please leave us a comment, and share this with another business owner who needs to hear it. And if you're feeling extra generous, please take a second to leave a 5-star review on the platform that you're listening on. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.